Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. I hope you had wonderful holidays and I'm wishing you a belated Happy New Year. Now, what is a better way to kick off than review the premiere of Season 2 The Bad Batch? I loved the first season, I hope you did as well, so there is a lot of hope, anticipation for the second season. In this video, I'll be talking about the characters, story, the action, so full spoiler on review. If you guys didn't see these two episode premiere, please go watch it now, return to this video, I would love to read your comments. As always, I really appreciate all of your support, guys, for sticking with me over these 2 years. Anyway, let's dive right into it. So I'll be basically reviewing both episodes as one entity because that's the way it's presented to us. Even though they have separate titles, The Spoils of War and The Ruins of War, it's basically one large season premiere. And what do we have here? I loved the way that the original season launched. In Season 1, we had this epic introduction to the post-Clone War era, right? We're now into Galactic Empire. And basically the first episode, the pilot, was saying goodbye to the Clone Wars animated show. It even had the same fanfare, the same music in the beginning, the same introductory by Wolf Lorian behind the screen telling us, narrating this episode. Basically, the artistic direction of this whole episode was saying, we're saying goodbye, farewell to the previous show, and now we're going full swing into this new territory. But what I really enjoyed about these two new episodes in Season 2, Spoils of War and Ruins of War, it sort of goes back and harkens to the Clone Wars material, and I really enjoyed it. Now, even though we're still literally past the point of Episode 3, it's only been a couple of years, right? It's maybe a year in between Season 1 and 2. It's still right after Order 66, and the Galactic Empire is just starting up. So we're going back in time, and I really like that because for the audience, it anchors us together and it basically builds a bridge between the fans of the clone period of George Lucas's prequel times and now the modern Star Wars. We kick off with an exciting opening. There's a great action scene going on the beach, and I was happy that we're seeing it what basically was in the trailer. There's an exotic island or a planet. I'm getting Avatar vibes all over the place, and these crabs are running after our crew. They're trying to get some stuff. And immediately, Omega springs into action. Now, in Season 1, we see her in the cloner facility on Kamino, and she's just there. She's like very docile, and she's not a fighter, and she basically needs help and looking after. In this one, she's quite different. She's pulling her own weight with the crew, and even though she's a child, she's able to fend off all of these crabs. She's jumping, she's like on the rope. That was pretty exciting, and it's a different look at Omega. So it was a big plus right away. I was immediately hooked. And I gotta say that right away, cinematography, guys, they're pushing it. Even within the context of the same show, the difference between Season 1 and 2, now you're seeing even more elaborate angles. The way that they're using zoom in a very kind of like cinematic fashion when one character is talking and then it passes over to another one. I love it. I love that little grainy texture feel of it. And they even use a blur motion on some of the characters to even blur that line between live action and animation. And I really like it because it still stands out. It's still very artistic, and I'm happy that it's actually not live action, but it's using those very intricate tricks, and it really does work well for the show. So on the visual front, everything is working so far. We're getting a banger opener of a scene. Things are happening. We're quickly moving around. And the story is happening right in the first scene. Omega wants to be part of this crew. She wants to be an active member. Now, enter a new Pirate V. They're back to Ord Mantell. They're looking into their new mission. And there's this new pirate girl who is offering them a new job. And the job is no other place than back on the planet Sereno. Immediately when I heard that name, I'm like, we better see Count Dooku's fortress again. It's such a signature and iconic place. The way we gotta see it again. Maybe the team will interact with it somehow. And I was very happy that they did it. It wasn't just a tease. It wasn't just tracing back to the planet that we saw in the Clone Wars just for the sake of it. It actually included that in the story of the Bad Batch. It's actually pulling it together. Again, it's expanding on the world of Star Wars and telling us that all of these different eras live in the same place. So that was very cool. Omega overhears the conversation. that, we're doing these things because of her. Rescuing Omega changed our lives forever. And as we see across these two episodes, that she feels very, very responsible. And what I really enjoyed, there's a little tiny scene in the first episode where she's holding a doll. Now, in the beginning of the episode, she's all over the place. She's action, she's studying about the Imperial ships. She's trying to be a grown-up and an adult. She's basically a child raised in war. And that's a recurring theme throughout these two episodes, and actually the entire first season. But then when she holds on to this little doll, this little loth cat, it's really heartbreaking in a way. She's still a girl. She has been robbed of her childhood because this evil empire came into place. And I really felt for her. And this is what I really enjoy about The Bad Batch Season 1. And we're seeing moments of that here as well. Nuance. Little storytelling elements, which it seems like a lot of people are just passing over it and they quickly want to get to the action. But then they complain that there's not enough character development or growth or world building. It's everywhere. You just gotta look, man. And this one tiny scene is just an example. Anyway, moving on. So they are trying to get this war chest off the Sereno. Basically, it looks like the Empire came over. They destroyed, decimated Sereno just the way they did with the Camino, which once again, completely devastating. And they're trying to gather all of these war chests. Maybe something that Count Dooku was gathering over the years. And I really like when our team infiltrates the perimeter, they're using their own clone voices to kind of distract the sentries. That was kind of cool. I think they used it only once, but once again, it's really bringing the point that our Bad Batch team are part of that. It's their brothers over there. I saw the armor. Oh, hold on a second. These are not Imperial stormtroopers. This is Planet Sereno, and once again, we're getting a little bit of the back, all the technologies from the Clone Wars, and these are cloners. And that's why the Bad Batch is using stun bolts there. They're not killing them right away. I was like, they probably feel something, some kind of loyalty to their former comrades. Even though they're on the different side of war now, they're still not trying to kill all of these guys. Once again, we're treated to very nice and exciting action. We are inside Count Dooku's fortress, and I really enjoyed Omega's solution. That once again, she comes through because she was studying the ships early on in this episode, so she doesn't pull this information out of nowhere. She says, maybe we can escape in a cargo hold. The window is really short. They keep reiterating that, but in the atmosphere, if we kind of drop off, it'll be able to land. So once again, I really like that. We see a little bit of maturity on Omega's behalf, and she's not just a third wheel. She's really is a valuable member of the team. So that was kind of cool. So the first episode, The Spoils of War, I can't say that it was just as hypnotic as the season premiere of Season 1. Something about it was just so grand. I guess all the music from the prequels and the fact that we're still dealing with the Order 66 and its immediate aftermath. But here, it honestly felt just like a continuation of Season 1, a little bit more low-key. Don't get me wrong, it was still a good episode. There's enough action there, enough story. I loved the infiltration aspect of it. I loved the beach scene with Kraz. That was kind of exciting and new. These kind of strange creatures are chasing our team. But it once again, it just felt a little bit more compartmentalized, a little bit more low-key. And now we're moving into Ruins of War. And if Part 1 focused more on the action, it looks like Part 2 of this premiere dealt with world building and telling us this is what happened before. This is what Clone Wars led to, the tragedy of it, and how these people of the Sereno planet have been oppressed by their own leader. Once again, there's so much context there that I was blown away. This is something that I was looking for in the show, and this is what I'm getting. I'm not there just for the visuals or for the action, for the thrills. I want to explore these places. I want to see how the team interacts with one another and how do they interact with the outsiders. What is happening there? What is the effects of the evil galactic empire and Emperor Palpatine taking over? And it's exactly what we see here. And that's what I think this premiere needed to set things in the right direction. So Ruins of War, Part 2 of the premiere. So the cargo container doesn't quite land. It's still in peril in that classic over the tipping edge there, and it's like, all right, this is going to be a scary episode here. Things are off balance. Things are not right. So that was kind of like a nice visual cue there. And Tech is instantly injured. And once again, I like that. If our friends were able to deal with the cloners in the on the ground, now things are a little bit more dire. And it's just reiterates the point that nobody is vulnerable. And I really hope that in this season we explore the aspect that maybe there'll be some kind of greater loss or greater price to pay, something like that. I think that's very important because when you have your set of heroes and nothing can touch them, it becomes boring quickly. And what I immediately noticed and quite appreciated throughout this second episode, Ruins of War, that the clones are far more efficient and organized than Imperial stormtroopers. Okay, maybe they don't score a direct hit on the Bad Batch team, but they're still, the way they tackle things, the way that they start sweeping the area and cornering our friends in, I was like, oh man, these are cloners. These guys are 10 times better than Imperial stormtroopers. And they're like, the team even had to go radio silent at one point, knowing that they will be monitored. Now enter a new character here, which I really enjoyed, I liked, and it almost feels like they're setting him up for more episodes. We meet this guy, Romar, and basically he suspects them, they suspect him, as like, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? And he basically introduces himself as a survivor post this clone war. And he says, maybe you guys are the bad ones because you actually look just like those clones. He can't differentiate. He doesn't know who they are. So it was a little bit cat and mouse game there. They were trying to probe each other out and see what's going on there. So there was a very interesting moment of tension, basically showing what the Empire has led to. Nobody can trust it. It's like an imperial state. You know, anybody could rat you out. You can't trust a stranger. What's happening there? Who is this guy? Even though he's old, he might be a snitch for the Empire. There was just, once again, such a great detail and nice nuance. That's what I live for in Star Wars. And he basically explains to them that Dooku's own greed led to this path, that he wasn't a good leader. You know, we constantly see Count Dooku from different angles, just like the recent Tales of the Jedi micro series. It showed us that he thought that he was doing the right thing. He saw the disillusionment of the Jedi Order and that the Republic was not going in the right direction. It was really corrupt from inside. And that's why he decided to leave. So there's sympathy with him, but at the same time, you see that he was really a tyrant. He was not a good guy. And that's what these people had to deal with. It's not that the Sereno, the planet, is evil. It's him. The Count Dooku, he's the villain here. So that was, once again, another great moment for me, and I really like it, how he's basically robbed his own planet of its future, and they had to pay the price for him. And there's another really fun scene in there where Omega gets Kaleidoscope from this guy, from Romar, and he basically reminds her that, don't forget to be a kid. Sometimes, you know, happiness is the ultimate reward. What you guys are chasing here, this war chest, these, you know, the trophies of war, maybe that's not what you need for the future. Maybe what you need is a little bit of hope, a look inside, find that innocence again. And I really, really like it. It hit home with me. There's once again this idea with toys in episode 1 and on this episode 2, reminding us the tragic moment that Omega is still a child and she's still trying to cope with who she is in this new world. There was another cool moment where Romar takes out this little box and he says, these are basically Serenian archives. This is where our music, our culture, and our people's legacy is stored. And it was really, really touching moment there, once again, reminding me what this whole evil war has led to and the aftermath of the Clone Wars. And the Hunter and Wrecker, they reach the bird. And the way that they go about it, they go through the broken separatist tanks and then trying to find their way out. That was kind of cool as well. Just giving us those visual cues from the Star Wars prequels. That was very nice. And what really broke my heart is that why Omega was basically going out of her skin to try to go out there just to get something for the gang is that she feels personally responsible. She said, you guys did it all for me. I have to, you know, bring something back in return. I am responsible. I'm the one that led you to this path. And you can't have a normal life because of me. But once again, Romar, there's some more action going on there. We got the swoop bites with those signature sounds from the Return of the Jedi. That was kind of cool. I was kind of expecting a little bit more action in that regard. But once again, it was fine. The second episode also felt a little bit low-key to me in terms of grandeur of the season premiere of the original season. But Romar comes through, he helps them out, he rescues them, he decides to stay behind because he says, look, I'm a survivor. But Echo tells Omega, he calms her down, and he says, look, we made the right choice, and I would do it all over again if I had the same choice again. And basically, she feels at home, she feels welcomed, and this is where basically the episode almost ends. And then the final scene to close this premiere off, I felt was the strongest scene in this entire premiere. We see Admiral Rampart, he's back, and he's basically telling the clone, we can't have this information that the Bad Batch survived out, because this is my own mistake, and if basically Grand Moff Tarkin finds out, that's not going to look good on me. Boom, and he shoots the guy in the chest. Man, that was so dark, so impactful, and so tastefully done that you don't have to go overboard with, like, you know, mature content on screen, and you could basically convey the same drama, the same heartbreaking moment, even to the children, to younger audience, if you do it very cleverly. And you just see, like, from a wide shot that the body is falling. Man, that was tragic. And it also paints the picture. It shows you this contrast, the way that the cloners were doing business and the way that the evil empire conducts itself. Basically, they're basically all looking after themselves. There is no loyalty there. Director Krennic and Moff Tarkin, the little bickering and vying for power going between them two. We have basically see the same motif going on here, and it just makes you hate the Empire even more so. Because cloners, regardless which side they fought on, they had loyalty to one another. They were true warriors in the full sense, and that's not what we see here. Anyway, what are my overall thoughts of this season premiere? It felt a little bit smaller after the premiere of the original season. Maybe my anticipation was a little higher. Maybe there was something really, really magical about what happens there. We see the Jedi in action. We see young Kanan Jarrus. So there was a lot of things going on there. And plus the music as well. Just the original premiere felt more epic in scope. And that's the only difference. And I can't say that one is better than the other. They're just different. One felt grander. It felt like one, you know, it almost felt like an animated feature film. Here, these two episodes, The Spoils of War and Ruins of War, they work very well together, but they still felt like separate episodes of a show that it's honestly never left us. It's just continuing on. It almost feels like season 1, 1.5 or something like that. It doesn't even feel like a second season because we're continuing right off where we left before. So overall, I would give this episode, this premiere, a 3.5 out of 4. It's by no means completely just mind-blowing, blew my mind, but it's very, very enjoyable. We're basically to the same show, we're on the same track, and we see bits and pieces here. We see a little bit of action, we see a little bit of character development and character growth. We see some very touching and nice moments there. So it didn't build itself, it didn't set out to just blow your mind and hook you in, because that was the job of the original season, of the original premiere. Here, we just basically are following the same path, and they're basically showing us more of what is going to happen. And I think they're saving the best for the last, because most of the visuals that we saw in the trailers seem to be pulled from these first two episodes, which I actually really like. So they're saving the best for the last. There's a lot of more stuff to go through, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go next. I hope we basically are going to build up to that emotional peak, and whatever feelings I was experiencing with the season premiere before, we're going to build up slower to this, so the reward, the payoff will be really grand. I'll be like, oh my god, did you guys see, for example, episode 6 or episode 9 of the season 2? Man, this is the peak. It could reach at a different point in the season, and I'll be happy for it. So far, what I've seen is the highest quality Star Wars storytelling, full of action, full of exciting moments. I had a lot of fun. Guys, please let me know in the comments below, what did you think of it? Compare it to the premiere of season 1. Which one did you like more and why? I would love to hear all of it. Once again, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you like my channel, guys, please like it, subscribe so you don't miss the future content. And I'll see you all next time. Take care.